Hey, what's up everyone? We are back for another Friday afternoon, 12 o'clock live stream for Keco Body Repair Products. I'm Gene Fetty. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about double action moves and how we can use our tools and lifters to make double action moves. I'm going to tell you all about what that is and show you exactly how it works. So with that, make sure you're asking questions. Brock will be in here fielding them as best as he can, and I will myself keep an eye out and make sure that we are answering your questions as we go. The double action move is basically nothing more than raising the dent up or picking up the lows while being able to knock down the highs at the same time. And anytime you can get the metal moving in two directions at once, it not only makes for cleaner repairs, but it greatly increases the speed of your repair. So come on over here, let me show you the damage. We've got our trusty blue door here. Laid it down on the ground and jumped on it. So we've got a nice, hey Dustin, how are you? We've got a nice big smack here through the body line. But what I really want to showcase today is how effectively we can work these crowns. So let me move that light over just a hair here and show you. So looking all right through here, we've got a really nice pinch. Hey, there's Brock. What's going on, buddy? So that's the damage we're going to move. And again, today is all about double action moves. So you've seen over the last couple of videos, we made some similar moves on this door with the K-beam. I'm actually going to start this one with the K-bar, show you our simplest double action move, and then from there move into a more aggressive, more complex double action move with the K-beam. So let me get you on the tripod here. If you were here last week, we had a couple gimbal issues. I think that I've got that solved. There we go. Get that all locked in place. Perfect. Let me get this light down a little bit and see if you guys can see that just a little bit better as I'm working through it. Yeah, there we go. Great view. Perfect. So here's our damage. We have got a big smash. Looks like somebody, this guy, jumped on it and caved it all in. We've got a big crown up here. So what I'm going to do is go with one of our centipede tabs and place it right next to our body line for our pull. While I'm pulling that, on this first move, I'm going to come in and apply pressure with the foot of the K-bar onto here. And I'll stand out of the way so you can really watch how applying that pressure down here pulls this up. This obviously is a scrap panel in the shop for demonstration purposes. If this were a real repair, the panel would definitely be on the car to add a little bit of stability. I think I'll be able to hold it down and make a move. So with that being said, we're going to make sure we walk right through our process. We know it's a steel panel. We're going to go ahead and clean it with our 99% isopropyl alcohol, which, by the way, is in stock at kecotabs.com. Just ordered some myself this week. We're going to check our temperature. It's a little chilly out today. We want to be between 75 and 85 degrees. Right now, we're at 63.8, a little cool. Also, I want to make sure we get rid of that humidity. So for time's sake today, I'm going to use my trusty torch, watch the fog jump off the panel, and that's the humidity leaving. And then we'll get into our ideal range of 75 to 85 degrees. You can really see that fog. It's been raining for a couple of days, so there's a lot of humidity in the air. As I keep going over it with the torch, I'm watching to make sure that the fog stops popping. There we go. Now we've taken all the humidity out of this whole area, and we have heated up to right at 100 degrees. If you don't have a torch or you're somewhere you can't use a torch, that is where the heat gun comes into play. And for that heat gun, we like to go to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. We know when we do that the humidity is completely gone. A little cool out, we want to make sure our tabs are warm. I'm just going to give this tab a quick flash, just like that, to take the chill off. We are making a large complex pull today. So for that, we want to make sure that we're using our collision glue that I plugged in on the other side of the shop. So we've got our collision glue by Cam Auto. It's for all of our large and complex repairs. I'm going to go ahead and coat my tab. So just as a reminder, when you're coating your tab, you want your glue to be literally smoking hot, but not boiling. So on our GPR Star guns, that's set it right to 190 Celsius. Between 300 and 350 degrees Fahrenheit is what we're looking for. Now I'm going to place this tab directly above the body line, right there. I'm going to hold it down in for about 15 seconds just to let it sit. I am going with our original flexible blue to give us the most flexibility, not just for getting down in, but as we come up and the panel wants to move, having this additional flexibility will help me stay on or help the tab stay on the panel longer. That takes about a minute or a minute and a half to set up. So let me flip over here. I'm going to jump on real quick and just see if I've got any questions that came through. Blake Baker, you do know what double action is. Thanks for coming on. Perfect. So I'll do a couple quick shout outs. We got Dustin, Blake, Brock, Brandon. Can't pronounce that name. Mateus, Emilion, and Joe Lou. So perfect. Guys, thanks so much for coming by today and checking this all out. Now for this pull, I want to go with the K-bar. Let me grab my adapter out here. So for the adapter, we want to pull as wide as we can. So I've got two different adapters that I'm going to test. First, if we can get it, I'll go with the 100 millimeter, which is our standard widest one that comes in your kit. As long as that slides on, that's the one we're going to go with. If this dent were a little bit deeper, I would come down to our 60 millimeter. It's a little bit shorter and it'll let us get into a tighter area. I always like to test before I set everything up. And sure enough, the 100 millimeter slides right on. So that's going to be our adapter. And remember, it's always the skinny side that goes to the lifting device. I will get centered on there, lock this down with our finger nut. We're good. And now we're going to make that double action move. The glue is nice and set up. We've got our nice tight crown here. And again, the double action move is simply pulling or releasing the low while applying pressure or slapping or knocking down on the crown. So for this first move, I want to show you the simplest setup. So to test it, I'm here. You can see I'm a little bit past. We'll just loosen our sled up, get this right on the crown, and slide on. Now I want to be as perpendicular to the panel as I can with my center pull shaft. And then I want to be centered on the tab. Once I'm there, I want to make sure that my foot is squarely on the crown. Beautiful setup. I'll lock this in place. And again, real world, I would still have the door on the car. Because we're in the shop, we've got it on a stand. So I'm going to try to hold this down while I pull it up. So you can see, as I start to pull, see how this wants to walk back and forth? That's why we want this flexible tab. So now I'm going to come up. Plenty of power and control. Coming into a load. See how it's walking back and forth? This is why I went with the original blue and not the ice. We're getting a little bit of a release there. Holding a little bit of pressure in the crown. And there's our other release. And now I can apply even some more pressure to our crown up top. I'm going to slide this out just a little bit more to get a little bit higher up on the crown. Right there. Now I've got plenty of holding power here. I'm going to hold power, and you can see that should be really coming through on the camera pretty well, how much pressure I'm able to get here while still holding pressure down there. So that right there is the simplest double action move we have. Now let me take a look at it in the light. And actually I'm going to bring you over in the light and show you a close-up. Yeah, nice pop, right, Ryan? Kyle, that's it's pretty cool to get it going. Rick, John, Aaron, guys, thanks for coming on. Let me pop you off the tripod here and bring you over for a closer look. So you can see that we got that big release all through here. Our body line actually came back up pretty nice. And then over here, that tight crown released a good bit. You can actually see, must have had a little bit of residue on my pad. You can actually see where I placed the foot, and you can really see right here where that power came down and moved that crown down in. So that right there is like the simplest way to demonstrate the power and effectiveness of a double action move. So to take it a little bit further and a little bit more complex, I'm going to come up here and make a move and hold some pressure and then work this crown. So for that, I'm going to leave this tab here. I'm going to go ahead and set our K-beam up. Thanks, James. Thanks, Brandon. Let me get you back into my tripod here. There we go. Perfect. I'll make a little adjustment on the light. You guys should be able to see that a little bit better. So we're working up in here. Yes, good. Now, what we've got is a nice big low here and two smaller lows with the remnants of that tighter crown right here. So what I'm going to do is come in with one of the super tabs or HD tabs, go right here, bring the beam in, hold a little bit of tension, and then I'll be able to come in and use my knockdown, my JVF hammer, and work that crown while we're holding up tension. Just like always, we're going to follow the same process. Even though we cleaned earlier, we've got residue, my hands were on it. We're going to come back in with our 99%, wipe it down. Temperature check. Again, it's a little cool today. We were at 63. Now we've cooled down to 67. I'm going to go ahead and warm that back up with my torch. Likely there's going to be humidity in here again. This will flash that humidity off. Yep. You can see that fog jumping away is the humidity leaving the panel. If you don't have a torch, or if you are in an environment that you can't use an open flame in, you can still use a, there we go, we're going to go with that tab. You can still use a heat gun. We just put a heat to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Hey, Jack, how are you? Hey, Jay. So I'm going to go with this tab in that low at the top below the crown. So we're going to go right here with it. This is going to give me a little bit of extra surface area, and it really concentrates the pull right at the bottom of that cone. I'm going to still stick with our Cam Auto glue because it's still a complex repair. It's still a larger repair, and we're going to do some knocking down. So I want that extra strength and flexibility that comes with the Cam Auto glue. Using my light to make sure I can see the exact bottom of the dent. We did that Lighting 101 a few weeks back. You can always go back and check these other episodes. And really, if you go back and start putting all of these episodes together, you're going to know literally everything you need to be able to do glue pull repairs. So that's set. While that's setting up, I'm going to bring you over and show you the amount of glue we have there. It's going to take a minute to cool off. So I want enough glue that we're just coming out the side, and then you can see there that it's still stringy. Tells us it's a little hot. We went over all of that, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, how to know when it's all ready to go. So that is setting up. I'm going to go ahead and get the K-beam set up for our pull to hold tension while we knock that high down or that crown. There we go. Hey Casey, hey Drew. Now, to use our adapter with this, you want to switch from the, you don't want to use a 100 millimeter. You want to come down to the 25, but you don't want to go with the blank 25. You'll have the one that has your pin in it. So that pin right here is going to be what lets you grab onto that thread, or grab onto the head and not slip off of the tab. Now, when you're using these tabs, you want to make sure that this plastic washer is up against the head. That protects your aluminum extrusions from getting chewed up on that head of that screw. So we're going to go on just like that. Again, today's all about double action. So for double action, we're going to use our big K-beam here. What this does is this will allow us to add tension to the panel and hold up, and then be completely hands-free to come in and work these crowns with whatever hammer or knockdown I decide I want to go with. Now for choosing which way to put the adapter, I normally like to come in on the uphill side of the tab, and I want these feet to go out to the edges of the panel where it's nice and strong. There we go. Perfect. Slide my sled into place. Now in a production environment, when we're not taking time and teaching, all of these take a regular 1/4" adapter, and that lets you move a little bit faster and cleaner. I like to do it by hand when I'm teaching to be able to slow down and make sure you are not missing any steps, because I would be working too quickly. So we're on here. Now again, just like with the K-bar, you want to be as perpendicular or straight as you can be, both down in and left and right. It's been long enough that this tab is dry and ready to go. So I'm just coming in, so you can see, this is where in person I would love to have you come up and feel it. We've still got play. I'm holding the adapter, just a little bit of play. Now, see, we've taken all of the play out of here, and then I like to work in turns of 4 turns at a time. And that's how I know I'm not overloading or pulling too hard. The last thing you want to do when you're making a double action move is load this all the way up until it's locked down and then come in and hit it. What that does is it sends a ton of vibrations through to the glue. This glue does not like, no glue likes shocks and vibration. You want to just come into it slow and ease into it. So we're just under load. I'm going to go 4 turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I can start correcting my damage, or correcting my high. So what I'm going to start with today is the JVF hammer. So that's got our polished, there we go, you can see me behind the camera, polished mirror face. That's going to let me strike the paint without harm. We've also got the white plastic end on the back if I want a little bit tighter. And we will likely even move into some knockdown work as well. So we're under load. This is holding the tension up. Out of practice, I always like to get a hand on here and just hold it just in case it does release. Now I'm down here and I'm looking underneath and through at my light to get a reflection, and then I can start correcting that crown. This head is also movable, so I need to come in this way, so I'm able to turn the head to the way I need to fit under there, lock it in with a lock nut, and I can get right up next to my tab. Now, when you're under pressure, it does not take a lot of power. You don't need a heavy strike to move metal. You can actually finesse it in, and that's exactly what this hammer is built for, is finessing that metal down, keeping the paint nice and clean. Now, just that little bit of tapping. We were under a fairly tight load with 4. This is loose again. That's how much metal we've already moved. So I'll do 4 more turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come back in and correct some more of my high spot. Get a little tight there. That's okay. It's actually looking pretty good. So I'm just going to move my light around so I can check it a little bit closer. Actually, that looks really flat. Let me bring you over with the camera and show you exactly what we're doing. Hey, Dustin, how are you? Kyle, good. This is that's what we like to hear. So again, we started with that big dent. We made our move here for anybody who's just joined in. We've got a bigger release, using our foot to push down on this crown. Now we're working the remnants. We had a good low left right here. We just placed that tab. Now we're just a couple of turns into this, and I want to see if I can show you. So what you're looking at, and it's a little hard to see the subtleties, I guess. That crown was real tight right here, sort of in a half moon. What I can see now is I've got it all knocked down to just ever so slightly low. Again, we're going for like a glazable repair here. That's where we're at. Hey, Craig, how are you? Now, I'm going to go with just another turn to just help that low up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and release under pressure. and we'll check it, and then we'll see about moving these two up a little bit. But right there is the magic. So we're really 2 pulls into this dent, and we've already got it down to here, and we'll move those up. So let's release under tension. We don't want to over pull. There we are. Let this pan down. Perfect. So to release under tension is easy. You've got a little tension, grab your 99% alcohol and spray it. What you don't want to do, and the reason we teach to come under or release under tension, is this tab is on here. Now, if I wanted to like pry it off, even with alcohol, right? Like, well, let me take this off and then I'll show you what not to do there. So here, a little bit of alcohol. We'll add just a little bit more tension to let that work in. Do not put your face in front of this while you're waiting for it to come off. It's on there pretty good. Come on, baby. Let me give it just a little pick back here to get this alcohol working in. So I guess this should answer your question, like, does the glue stick? It definitely sticks. There we go. That bit hard. And I also want to take a second. We talked about why your tab doesn't stick. So this is evidence that the glue was actually cold. See all those pieces shattered off on there? If that happens to you and you didn't get a pull, like that was totally effective, there's no reason for it to be a bad pull. If you end up with that kind of remnant, it's actually got like, it almost looks like broken glass. That tells you it's too cold. So that is released. Had we not been able to get that, or it just didn't want to go, come in with your heat gun and just warm the area to around 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and that will get you, actually it begins to almost re-liquefy the glue and gets you in good shape. So releasing under pressure. Let me show you why we do it that way and not this way. Even if we take our alcohol on our centipede here, and then you want to like pull it off, look, one, at how hard it is. But even worse, that let go finally. You saw how I was able to pull. If that kept sticking and we kept just pulling, the edge of the tab can push dents into the panel. So don't do that. That's a big not to do approach. Now here again, great evidence that we're cold. And we were down in the 60s on the panel temperature. I think 63 when we started, 67 when we started that last pull. That should really drive home to you just how important that 75 to 85 degrees is. So even just dropping down to 65 degrees, we can end up with this. So we're here. We started with that big dent. I've jumped on this door a couple of times. In fact, you can see a lot of the damage down here. We'll give you an idea of how hard I smashed this in. Move one, we pushed in with our foot of our K-bar and pulled up here. We got a nice release, and it really cleanly brought a lot of that sharp, tight crown right down. So that's the double action move. It's up here and in here. Then the move we just did that we just released from was the K-beam set up with one of our round tabs right here, holding tension for some nice clean work through here. Let me bring you over and show you where we're at as far as the crowning goes. Hey Rodney, hey Don. German, nice to see you. So we had, let's do this without messing up my gimbal today. There we go. So we had a real tight crown all up through here. And now you can see that we've actually gotten it down to flat. That mark you're seeing in the dent is actually some inner structure that I got a little too heavy footed on, and we hit some inner structure. Again, it's a junkyard panel just for demonstration purposes. Basically now we've taken that big dent, less the damage down there that we're not going to worry about up here. And this is where I call it like just dividing and conquering. We now took that big dent and we just have a light, small low here, here, and here to contend with. And this thing is ready for a glaze coat. Guys, what, let me scroll back through the, here we go, flipped around. Let me scroll back through the comments. What questions do you guys have on this? Anything? What can I help you with today? We got a lot of viewers today, guys. Thanks for coming on. Make sure you share this. I'm not seeing any questions, which I guess is good. I must be answering all of your questions. So think of some questions, type them out. I will check back on in here in a second. But for now, let me show you just how we progress through. We're not going to finish this repair out. We're simply doing a what is a double action move. So let me show you just how we would progress through this repair. And get your questions going so I can answer them for you before we wrap up for the day. All right, so there we go. You guys can see your low. So I'm going to come and I'm going to attack this little low right here. Same thing as always, clean it with our 99% alcohol. We're going to flash off our humidity and warm up the panel. So you can see that fog going away. That's the humidity leaving. Just like that. Temperature back up to 92.4 degrees, just above our ideal pool temperatures. And then tab wise, you always want to match your tab to the shape of the dent you are pulling. It's actually a little big. You know what we're going to go? We're actually going to pull this one. We're going to go right here and see what kind of pull we get. So one of our ice oval tabs right there. I'm going to go ahead and take the chill off of this tab. Just a quick warm. Still sticking with our Cam Auto glue. Not so much because this is a large pull, but it's in the gun. There's no reason to really fire up another gun. And it pulls just as fine on small tabs as it does on big. Really the only difference, and I know we did one on all the different glues. The only real big difference there is setup time. Ultimately, the Cam Auto here will have a little bit more strength, but it does take longer to set up. So while it's setting up, right, you can see that's the Dave Shalott style right there, stringy pizza cheese. We would never want to bite into a piece of pizza that was like that when you would burn your mouth. So we call that like the stringy pizza stage, right when you put it down. As it cools down, moving from there, I like to call it like the Play-Doh stage, and that's where the glue will smush around. Still a little sticky. It will smush in. There, the backside smushing. Almost like you're sticking your finger into a can of Play-Doh, and that's what the Play-Doh stage is. Just mushy, you can smush it in. As soon as it gets firm and it doesn't want to smush in anymore, you know it's ready. Another 20 seconds or so and we'll be dry on there. Now I will tell you, for especially you body shop guys, you get worried about dry times and setting up and waiting. First and foremost, if this were an actual repair, if we were doing production, I would have a tab here and here. I'd have two drying at the same time. Really, by the time I got this set and ready to go, this one's going to be dry and I bounce back and forth and I can work multiple areas. Two, really remember that this whole repair, unlike a traditional grind it down and spot weld, we start by shrinking the damage. So even a little bit of time that appears to take extra, right? Like, oh, I've got to set it up, I've got to let it dry. You make it up so fast. So our first move, we went from this all the way to here, right? It's an instant shrink right away. So that's dried up and ready to go. We're going to actually go with the same tab, or the same lifter. We come right back in with that same adapter. And we'll come in and hook up on this tab. Same thing, I want that hitch pin on the top side, or on the uphill side. Set up with our tool out at the edge of the panel, right on the body lines, nice and strong. Lock my sled in place and start applying pressure here. Now you can see, or you should be able to see, that the panel is already coming up. I can see we've actually got a little bit of crowning in here. So we don't want to go all the way this way and just crank it up and then hit it. Again, like I said, that creates a lot of tension, and then the striking creates vibrations, which is shock, which breaks the glue away. So you want to just come in So we do it not locked down where it doesn't turn anymore, but just into it. So here we are. See all that nice play? Just ease into it. That takes all the play away, and then I like to go 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just how I like to work in my head. And then I can come in and get on this upper edge. It has a little bit of metal stuck. So I'm actually going to use this like a dolly, or like a spoon, I mean. So I can hold that on there and come in with my other hammer. Another great double action move. We're holding tension up on our low here. This becomes a second set of hands for us, and this lets us come in and make corrections of the crowning right there. Now you can see I've got my hand right on there. Never, if you can help it, strike while you're under load without protecting this somehow. Let me come over and check my light. And that looks like that flattened right down on the top. And we've got a little bit of a low we're contending with here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull under a pretty good load. Now, under maximum load on the biggest tab, this thing will pull to 1,500 pounds. We don't need that much power, and this little tab won't handle up to that. This tab itself is still probably good for a couple of 100 pounds of pulling power. We're going to do that same release under tension because we don't want to over pull. I've got it under a little bigger load to let you see the pop this time. It always makes you jump whenever you're at the trade. Everybody's watching with anticipation. You can see I was a little light on my glue if I'm going to critique where I was at. We got a nice effective pull. If it didn't stick, one of the things I would look at it is my glue. The front side we were great. I was a little bit light on glue back here. Still a good pull, but again, always checking yourself if you're having issues. Temperature wise, we were spot on. Notice how that glue came right off. It did not crack or shatter. And then to like judge yourself there, you can see that this tab is like there's no bubbles in it. It's nice and clear. That's about the right thickness. That's exactly what you're looking for through there. So with our double pulls, we've got to there. We probably reduced the depth of that dent by, I don't know, 50% right there. To continue through, all I would do is knock down without tension. So I would grab my knockdown and my hammer and just come in and knock these highs down all through here. You could use your knockdown, you could use your black swan. Clean that up, loosen it up, and then make some more pulls. But you can see in just, unless I lost count, 3 pulls, we took that big, huge dent and got it right to here. So today was all about the double action pull. That's exactly what we showed you. And let me see if we've got any questions here. Guys, thank you all for coming out and spending a Friday afternoon with us. Let me see if I can pull my... Yep, I don't know that we have any questions. Craig, you're lovely, babe. Perfect. Guys, that's about it. Let me show you a little bit of up close what we came to on this dent. You can see, again, that mark right there is inner structure. When I jumped on the door, I got a little heavy-footed. You can see that pull released a lot of tension. Now I would just size down and pull here and open this up, pull there and pull there, and you're done. But today is all about double action, and that's that. So let me flip it around. If there are any questions, this is last call. Thanks, Kashawn. It was a good fire one. 19:30, I think that's 7:30 at night. Hey, Francisco, thank you for coming on and checking out the show. Make sure you share this video. Rodney, thank you. Share this video. I've got links to everywhere we can help you. You can search out other free articles we've given, schedule a consult with me, schedule a consult with Brock. Whatever you need, everything is in the description. There's your links. Come back next week, 12 p.m. Central Time for another live stream on GPR. I'm Gene Fetty. Hey guys, stay safe and stay healthy. Have a great weekend.